Today we're doing a tutorial video in real time that will show you how to create this cozy grassy beach scene. For this tutorial I'm using Aseprite software, a 120 by 120 pixel canvas, and this palette I created. The link to the palette is in the description. Okay, let's get started. We'll start by creating a new file with a width and height of 120 pixels. Once we're in here, we're going to go up above our color palette, hit the hamburger menu, and load the palette that you downloaded from the link in the description. And we want the beach palette, and that'll load that in there. Okay. So let's start by renaming this background layer to light background, and we'll just throw a light color on there. Create a new layer. We'll call this one the sky. And we want to select about a third of our canvas here. And we'll start with the light colors. Here we select one is the foreground and one is the background, and then we hit Shift G to go to our gradient tool. For dithering, we want to make sure we're on the Bayer matrix 8x8, and we want the light color on the bottom. Select our next two colors here. And it gets darker as you go. Okay. That's good for the sky. Next, we'll create another layer for our clouds. And to begin with, we will start with kind of this mid-ground color of these few colors here. And this is what we'll use to block in our clouds. So we'll select that same area just to make sure our clouds don't go any lower than our horizon line there. And we'll use our paintbrush, bump it up to about a 4 pixel brush. And we'll just kind of rough in some cloud shapes. That are off in the distant horizon. Fill that in. Now we can use the magic wand to select that. And we'll start putting in some brighter areas here. Our sun is coming from the right hand side. So the right hand side of these cloud peaks will be getting significant sun, but there will also be some other billowy parts that poke out and collect some sun here. There, that looks good. Now we'll select that color that we were just using, and we'll go back in the select menu, select color range, and that will select all of that color on this layer. And we'll come in with a little bit of a lighter color and just kind of hit the edges of these clouds here, or the billows. Be real loose with the strokes here. Okay. And now we've already got our mid-tone here, so let's go work our way from the darker tones now. Well, first let's select our mid-tone here, and then we'll go back and we'll just kind of paint in some dark areas. real rough here. Click, click, click. And then a little bit lighter here. Create kind of a transition between these two colors. Okay, there's our main cloud shapes in here. You can look down at the preview. Those are looking pretty good from a distant vantage point. Next thing I like to do is kind of blend these shapes together. Let's go down to a 1 pixel brush and we'll create a pattern of our midtone and one of our highlights in this 2x2 square. Hit Control B, and that will create a brush of that. Now we want to make sure that our brush is aligned to source, or actually aligned to destination. I think it's going to work better. Then we can just kind of blend these shapes together here. You don't have to go too crazy on this. Some hard edges are good too. Okay, that looks good there. And you can select both your foreground and your background colors to change up this brush that we made by holding down Alt and then left clicking for the foreground color and then right clicking for the background color. Real loose in these strokes here. Don't spend too much time agonizing over this part. Just throw down your dithering and move on. Okay. Let's get rid of our brush there by pushing escape. And next we will create a new layer. And this is going to be for our ocean. We're going to come in with the dark sky color for our ocean, and we want to select about down to halfway of the canvas, and we'll just fill that in. And then we're just going to select our brighter sky color here, and from the front we just start doing some large horizontal strokes here. As they get further off in the distance, they become smaller or kind of disappear altogether. Grab a brighter color here. Just layer in this lighter color up front here. A little bit in the back, but not too much. And we want a little bit of white up front as well. Indicate some cresting waves here. Let's go ahead and deselect that. And down here we are going to create a 2x2 brush that only contains one color, so we can kind of throw in some dithering here, and hopefully this will look like some foam as the waves crash down onto the beach here. No need to worry about filling out the whole beach line here. Most of that will be covered by our grasses later on. Okay. Hit escape to get rid of that brush. And we'll add in our sand. We'll select the remaining area here and fill that in. Let's move our sand layer underneath the ocean layer. And we'll select this slightly darker brown. And we're going to mark out some area of the beach here that's been wet by the ocean. Okay, that's good for the sand for now. Let's come more into the foreground here, and we'll start making our grasses. So to begin with, we're just going to block out a shape, and we'll use our kind of mid-tone grasses here to do that. Whoops. Make sure you're on your paintbrush tool. Okay, that's a good start here. So we've got our shape outlined. We'll go ahead and select that. We'll start with our dark color, our dark green here. And we'll just start filling in the bottom of this clump of grass. And remember, our light source is coming from the right hand side. So over here towards the left, there will be a little more of this dark color. Let's move on to the next color here. We just move up a little bit and start making these vertical grass-like strokes. We'll pass over our mid-tone since we've already got a bunch of that. At this point we can deselect. We want some of these grasses to poke out over the shape we initially blocked in. You're going to get some different results depending on whether or not you have this pixel perfect checkbox checked. I recommend experimenting with it checked and unchecked. See how it works for you. Let's go back to our mid-tone color here and kind of put in some grassy-like strokes over the top of what we've already done. Okay, now we also want to do some yellows here. Our darker yellow to begin with. We'll go down near the bottom of our grasses. And the lighter yellow at the top. Okay, and that's kind of how we're going to create our clumps of grass here. I'll go ahead and speed through the rest of the grass clump creation using the same process we just outlined here. Okay, now that we've got our grasses done, it's time to put in some shadows on the sand here. So we'll go back to our sand layer, and what we're going to do is we're going to use this darker cloud color for our shadows here. And we'll begin by just kind of creating a general shadow here that comes up the middle of our composition. Just gonna fill this in as we go. Oops, we didn't close our boundaries here. There'll be a little shadow near the bottom of all of these, even though that is the sunward side. Let's go ahead and fill all of this in with shadow back here. A little bit of less shading on this side because the way this dune is tilted is it's facing more towards the sun. Oops, we didn't close our bounds again. There we go. Okay, that's kind of a general blocking in of the shadows. Now we'll start adding little bits of shadow here to indicate some texture over the sand here. It's not completely smooth. Maybe there's been some footsteps in it. Okay, we'll go with a little bit of a lighter sky shade here, and we'll just kind of do the same thing in the shaded area. Just to give the indication of some texture. Okay, and we'll also do some darker bits of sand here. Even in the lit areas. Up to the left side of our composition is where the sand starts to level off. Maybe it's not being hit so directly by the sun. Same over here where this kind of tilts down away from the sun a bit. But always mixing a bit of the other color back in. Add some more darker areas over here. All right, and there we go. There's a nice grassy beach. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial, and we'll see you next time.